Not that I'm like speaking on behalf of vampires across the world, but hey, if you are one, I'm supporting you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tropes Wise Podcast. I'm Myra.
And I'm Robin.
And we're here to talk about books.
I think to start, we should probably say to everyone that's listened or watched, however you're listening to our YouTube, we appreciate you all watching or listening to HOFAS, our deep dive, our rambling, however you may view it. I hope you liked it. And I hope you thought it was just as interesting as we did.
Yeah. So, are you reading anything right now?
I just finished Bride. What a ride. And I think I'm going to start probably, I don't know, I might start some other book soon, maybe like a memoir or something like that. I've been wanting to read something that's not, like fiction.
Fantasy.
Some kind of, no fantasy, like just to kind of spread my wings a bit. I don't mind reading classical literature, like that's fine, but like something just a little bit different. So I'll probably pick up something different. Maybe I'll share it with everybody next pod if I actually can bring myself to do it. But yeah, I just finished reading a bunch of Valentine's Day books for this episode. So
I'm still reading When the Moon Hatched. I started it, before HOFAS at the beginning of January. I put that on the side. And then when I finished HOFAS, I was like, you know what? I don't think I want like another big book right away. So I read Bride. And I'm back to reading When the Moon Hatched. So hopefully I finish it soon. I really want to talk about it because I can tell it's a good book, and you said it's a good book. And it's really good reviews, but I'm just at the point where like when you wait too long and you don't get yourself to read enough to get some plot progression. So you're just kind of like reading two paragraphs, 2 pages at a time. Yeah, but I'll finish it so we can talk about it.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about it at the start of next month or like the end of this month or something. It really is a good first book.
It is. It's a good book. I'm mad at myself because I can't read it.
Bring yourself to finish it. Yeah. It's okay. Like there was definitely some points in that book where it kind of dragged on. But it gets better, I promise.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about romance. We're going to talk about Valentine's Day books that we recommend. And I think for the most part, this is like contemporary romance, right? That we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we each picked a couple books to suggest to you guys. Books that we really like, or books that, I mean, for me, they're not necessarily my all-time favorite romance books, but I just think they're really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're like groundbreaking by any means, but they're fun reads. And we kind of offer a good variety, I think.
Do you want to go first, or?
Yeah, I'll do one of them first, and then you can go next.
Okay.
So the first book that I put on the list is Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. We're going to give you guys the title of the book, a brief synopsis of the book, and then some of the tropes we saw in those books, just so that, everyone's kind of on the same page. You can read it if you want to, but we're not giving anything away that is like groundbreaking. You can still read these books after listening to us if you want to. So the synopsis for Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey is this. Haley Welch fell hard for Julian Voss at 14 after they almost kissed in the dark vineyards of his family's winery. Now the prodigal hottie has returned from their small town when Haley is hired to revamp the gardens at the Voss estate. She wonders if she'll finally get that smooch, but the grumpy professor isn't the teenager she remembers, and their polar opposite personalities clash spectacularly. One wine-filled girls' night later, Haley can't shake the sense that she did something reckless, and then she remembers the drunken secret admirer letter she left for Julian. Oh shit. On sabbatical from his Ivy League job, Julian plans to write a novel. But having Haley gardening right outside his window is the ultimate distraction. She's eccentric, chronically late, and often literally covered in dirt, and so unbelievably beautiful. He can't focus on anything else until he finds an anonymous letter sent by a woman from his past. Even as Julian wonders about his admirer, He's sucked further into Haley's orbit. Like the flowers she plants all over town, Haley is a burst of color in Julian's grayscale life. For a man who irons his socks and runs on tight schedules, her sunny, chaotic energy makes zero sense. But there's something so familiar about her, and her very presence is turning his world upside down. So this book,
Ooh.
I know it sounds interesting. It's cute. It's like a cutesy little contemporary romance read. There's nothing too, tense about it. One of the main characters, Julian, he does suffer from anxiety, and we see that kind of play a part in how he, deals with some of his feelings for her and how he just goes about his daily life. And we get a glimpse into that in the book. So some of the tropes I wanted to point out for this book is declaration of love, grumpy/sunshine, so basically like personalities, and then opposites attract. I think that if you like a book that is easy to read, kind of fun, fast paced, like you're not going to have multiple books to follow, and like that cutesy gardener type person, with like that really stern type personality that she's falling in love with, like this is the book for you.
I love the grumpy sunshine trope.
Me too. It's one of my favorites.
It's so funny. Like, I guess it's my turn to read mine, but we should do like a challenge to read the synopsis of these books because they're so corny sometimes.
I know. I feel like sometimes there's like some that are like, okay,
yeah.
I don't need to read it anymore.
You told me everything.
Yeah, thank you.
I haven't read anything by Tessa Bailey, but I'll take your word for it. It sounds like a really good book. My suggestion, and I want to preface by saying that this book is smut. We
100%.
don't really, we read like fantasy romance, right? But I wouldn't say those books are smut. I wouldn't say Sarah J. Maas is smut. Because if the plot wasn't there, I wouldn't be nearly as into it. This book, however, The Idea of You by Robinne Lee, this is smut. And be warned. So the synopsis of the book is the main character is Solène Marchand. The 31-year-old owner of an art gallery in Los Angeles is reluctant to take her daughter Isabel to meet her favorite boy band. But since her divorce, she's more eager than ever to be close to Isabel. The last thing Solène expects is to make a connection with one of the members of the world-famous August Moon. But Hayes Campbell is clever, winning, confident, and posh, and the attraction is immediate. That he is all of 20 years old further complicates things. Of course it does. What begins as a series of clandestine trysts quickly evolves into a passionate and genuine relationship. It's a journey that spans continents as Solène and Hayes navigate each other's worlds, from stadium tours to international art fairs to secluded hideaways in Paris and Miami. For Solène, it's a reclaiming of self as well as a rediscovery of happiness and love. When Solène and Hayes' romance becomes a viral sensation, and both she and her daughter become the target of rabid fans and an insatiable media, Solène must face how her romantic life has impacted the lives of those that she cares about the most. Whew.
Ooh-wee. I could see where this would be a straight smut read.
It is smut. Like, the story of their romance and like the ending, I think, are really good. But I'm gonna call it what it is. It's smut. But I think, it's a good story. Like, it's really entertaining. And then the tropes in this book are age gap. I think it said it in the synopsis, but Solène, the main character, she's 39 and the love interest is 20. And then the other one is forbidden romance. There's a lot of conflict between like, her kid really likes this band and her kid looks up to these guys. And she's trying to like see how she can keep up the relationship without like, breaking her daughter's dreams. But it's good. And there's a movie coming out based on the book sometime this year, like May, June, something like that. Anne Hathaway is playing Solène.
That's what she's in? I didn't put that together. Yeah, I knew that she was filming a new movie.
Anne Hathaway, and then the guy Hayes. I forgot who's playing him. But apparently this is based on Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde's thing.
I was actually thinking that. I felt like this almost was like a fanfic of sorts for that.
I feel like it started as that.
Yeah.
And then it turned into a book, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good.
I'm down.
And if anyone reads it, let me know if you liked it.
Yeah. Let me know if you like it. For the plot, everyone, keep in
Yeah, for
mind.
the plot.
So, my second book that I wanted to recommend to everyone is a story of kind of two conflicting cultures coming together. It's a story of like interracial relationships. And I feel like if that's something that maybe you experience yourself or want to read about, and it kind of gives you like a different outlook on other people and how some people could actually kind of live their lives. So, the book is called Love, Chai, and Other Four-Letter Words by Annika Sharma. The synopsis goes: Kieran needs to fall in line. Instead, she falls in love. Kieran was the good daughter. When her sister disobeyed her family's plan and brought them shame, she was there to pick up the pieces. She vowed she wouldn't make the same mistakes. She'd be twice the daughter her parents needed to make up for the one they lost. Nash never had a family. The parents who were supposed to raise him were completely absent. Now, as a psychologist, he sees same pattern happening to the kids he works with. So he turns away from love and family. After all, abandonment is in his genes, isn't it? If she follows the rules, Kieran will marry an Indian man. If he follows his fears, Nash will wind up alone. But what if they follow their hearts?
Ooh. What if?
What if? So the tropes in this is forbidden romance, emotional depth, and heartfelt romance. I felt when I read this book, while I did not ever experience that, it kind of like puts you in their shoes. Like you will feel the same anxiety that Kieran feels when she's trying to make her family approve of her decisions and her, her actions. So maybe that's something you can relate to, if anything. But it's a great book. I cried at the end. It's very heartfelt. So be warned. It's a very good book, though, and you should read it if that's something that sounds kind of interesting to you.
You've mentioned this one to me before, and I think it might be
I
time for
have.
me to read it.
I have. It's really good. It's cute. It's not too much, but it definitely kind of handles a few heavy topics for
Hmm.
I think some people. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. My next book that I'm suggesting is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I think this is a pretty popular book. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have
Yeah,
read
I've
it.
read it.
Yeah,
Everyone's probably read it. It's a very big book talk book.
it's a good book, I think, for a good reason. It's like everything you want in a contemporary romance, but I'll read the synopsis. Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction. January Andrews writes best-selling romance. When she pens a happily ever after, he kills off his entire cast. They're polar opposites. In fact, the only thing they have in common is that for the next 3 months, they're living in neighboring beach houses, broke and bogged down with writer's block. Until one hazy evening, one thing leads to another, and they strike a deal designed to force them out of their creative ruts. Augustus will spend the summer writing something happy, and January will pen the next great American novel. She'll take him on field trips worthy of any rom com montage, and he'll take her to interview surviving members of a backwoods death cult, obviously. Everyone will finish a book, and no one will fall in love, really. Ha!
Little do they know.
Little did they know what could go wrong. So the tropes, forced proximity, when it says that they are spending like the next 3 months in neighboring beach houses, like they are neighboring beach houses.
Right next door.
Right next door. Yeah. Rivals to lovers. Did you put this? Rivals to lovers, or did I put that?
You put that.
Oh, okay. I
You
was
told
gonna
me to put
say,
that.
okay. Because I'm glad it says rivals and not enemies. I feel like rivals and enemies are two different things.
Yes, it's two different things, and they are definitely more rivals than they
Yeah.
are enemies.
Yeah. Rivals to lovers, and then opposites attract. So he's definitely like the black cat of the relationship, and she's the golden retriever.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just kind of shoved into proximity on vacation in the summer. But it's really cute. I like the setting. I like the idea of like those Midwest or like East Coast summer contemporary romance books. I think it's really good.
I like this book a lot. It's very cute, and like I don't feel like they rush it. Like we
Mm-hmm.
as like readers are fighting for their relationship just as much as like they kind of are.
Yeah. And then our last book,
Last but not least, a little different than the rest.
we can both talk about this because I wanted to put it as a recommendation, but you just finished it. And I
Yeah.
think this is the perfect book to read during Valentine's Day season.
Sure.
It's
Yeah. It is definitely spicy too.
it's a newer book, so we're not going to say much about it because I think there's a fair amount of hype and like people that are still trying to read it. But
Yeah.
it's Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and if you've heard nothing about it, it's kind of a paranormal romance meets contemporary romance meets omegaverse. For anyone who doesn't know what the omegaverse is, go look it up. We're not going to talk about it a
Yeah.
lot.
Well, I will preface there's apparently
Hmm.
two types of omegaverses out there.
Is it like the true omegaverse and then like soft omegaverse? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm just go ahead and tell people
Hmm.
listening. There's one omegaverse where it's like boys getting pregnant.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah. And so that's what I think that most people know omegaverse as. But this omegaverse is like werewolves.
Yeah,
And if you
like
want further
werewolves, the
detail,
whole
look it up.
alpha, yeah,
Yeah.
alpha, beta, omega, and like fated mates is a big trope
Mm-hmm.
in Omegaverse. There's a lot to say about Omegaverse. Again, look it up.
Yes. Look it
But
up. Fall down the rabbit hole that we fell down
yeah,
when
um,
looking everything up.
yeah. But I think, to my knowledge, this is the first kind of mainstream contemporary romance book that touches Omegaverse.
Yeah, I read
And
a
I'll
lot of
say,
Omegaverse and Wattpad. Like that was my Wattpad
I'm sure you did.
era. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was everybody. And when I was looking up the Omegaverse, everyone said the same thing. Like, this is Wattpad. This is Wattpad. But I'm like,
Yeah.
was I on the wrong side of Wattpad because I had
You
never heard
were.
about this? Yeah,
You were.
I'm sure I
Clearly.
was. Clearly, I think Ali Hazelwood really did a good job introducing this concept and still giving us like a really interesting, really gripping story. And I was really pleasantly surprised. I don't know about you, but I rated it 5 stars.
I gave it 4.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. It's not a perfect book, but it's a really good book. Give it a shot.
Yeah, give it a
It's
shot.
a
Read them the synopsis too, because I feel like that
Oh
kind of
yeah,
helps
yeah.
set the tone.
Okay. Synopsis. A dangerous alliance between a vampire bride and an alpha werewolf becomes a love deep enough to sink your teeth into in this new paranormal romance. Misery Lark, the only daughter of the most powerful vampire councilman of the Southwest, is an outcast again. Her days of living in anonymity among the humans are over. She has been called upon to uphold a historic peacekeeping alliance between the vampires and their mortal enemies, the Wares. And she sees little choice but to surrender herself in the exchange again. Wares are ruthless and unpredictable, and their alpha, Lo Moreland, is no exception. He rules his pack with absolute authority, but not without justice. And unlike the Vampire Council, not without feeling. It's clear from the way he tracks Misery's every movement that he doesn't trust her. If only he knew how right he was. Because Misery has her own reasons to agree to the marriage of convenience, reasons that have nothing to do with politics or alliances, and everything to do with the only thing she's ever cared about. And she's willing to do whatever it takes to get back what's hers, even if it means a life alone in Were territory, alone with the wolf. Ah! Okay, the tropes. Enemies to lovers. And this is true enemies to lovers.
Yes.
Werewolves versus vampires, tales old as time. Forced proximity, and fated mates.
Yes. When I read this book, I know I told you my real beef with it
Mm-hmm.
was I felt like the representation, not that I'm like speaking on behalf of vampires across the world, but hey, if you are one, I'm supporting you. I felt like they kind of wrote them very like weak, you know, and they made them very ruthless, like in the sense like heartless.
Like the
So
vampires, you mean?
yeah, the vampires. And
Okay.
that like I think made me a little sad because why do they have to be the ones like that are described that way?
Mm.
Um, but I also felt like the ending was a little rushed for my preference, but that's like probably my ick with every book I read if it feels like like maybe I just never want
Yeah,
the story to end. And so
that's
I'm
true.
always looking for more, but I overall thought the book was really interesting. They introduce
Mm-hmm.
a very niche genre of Omegaverse. She does a really good job, like you said, of introducing something that we have not yet crossed paths with, unless you were really into Wattpad reading. Even then, I don't remember coming across some of these things. So, but she did a really good job. If you read the book, don't be like dissuaded to do it. We thought it was great. Myra started reading it, told me about omegaverse. I looked it up before I even started reading the book. And then I like texted her later that night and I was like, do you want me to read it with you? Like we can be in it together.
Yes.
And I did. It was a very quick read too. I finished it in like a day and a half. It's not like a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
So
It's
I think
a short,
everyone
fun
should
read.
give it a try.
I think you'll be
Definitely a
surprised.
romance.
Yes, definitely a romance.
And a little spicy.
If you liked Twilight, I think you'll like this book.
I agree. It's definitely like small Twilight core. I think it's only right that we, after reading some of these books, I haven't read all the books you've read, you haven't read all the books I've read, that we suggest each other a Valentine's Day read to, to read through the rest of the month of February and to maybe talk about at the end of this month, start of next month.
Okay.
The book I want you to read is The Love Chai and Other Four-Letter Words. I think you would love that book. It's very cute.
Okay. I will read it because this is the second or third time that you've brought up the book. And for you, Robin, I'm going to suggest The Idea of You by Robinne Lee.
Yes. It's funny because my name is actually Robinne Lee.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Like, that's my full first name.
Oh my
gosh. It's not spelled
gosh.
exactly like this, but it's very close.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay, you have to.
It's fate.
I feel like you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. And I'm okay whatever way it goes. But I just want your take on it.
I'll read it. Nathan will probably hate it. I don't know about the rest of you listeners, but my spouse, Nathan, he's very big about like, so you're just reading smut. And he just doesn't understand that some books are just smut. Some are like actual stories with some smut in there. But like if you took the smut out, the book is still great.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I can't imagine reading like Sarah J. Maas's 300, 800-page books and it's just smut.
I'm sure people would enjoy it. To each their own. If you want that, like, why not?
Yeah.
But that's not what these are. But maybe the idea of you is based on your description.
I mean, it's the most smut-heavy book that I've read.
Okay.
So for me, I'm like, this is smut. But I know, like, I've seen the covers of other books and I'm like, this can't be like, the highest level of smut. But yeah, I think as far as the books that we've read or that I read, this is the most like, it's mostly like trash. But it's a good story.
Love it. I'll read it. Don't you worry.
And then maybe we'll do a video in a couple weeks or something and just like review the books we suggested to each other.
Yeah, I like that.
Is that all we have?
That's all we have. And we will be posting like a cute little Instagram to go with this, with the books, the book title, a short little synopsis we typed up ourselves, and then a couple of tropes on there for everyone.
And our rating. I don't think we rated them.
We did not rate them here, but you can go see them there. Also, you can follow us on Goodreads if y'all want to.
Oh yeah, we should link our Goodreads.
Yeah, we can link it to our YouTube on this YouTube video so you can see what we're up to. You can see all the books we start and then haven't finished yet. Just sitting on our shelves.
Don't look at mine. There's like 4 on there that I've been reading for a year to 3 years.
It's okay. I also have a lot on there that I've been reading for a long time.
But that's all we have for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like and comment. Please subscribe. Let us know if you read these books. Let us know if you have read them, if you like them. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We're at Tropey Wives Pod, TROPEY. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.